Another reflection from Mr. Dennis, because he also have the finance section in the another room. So please share with us, and please Dennis take the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was a great speech, by the way, and very interactive and very informative. And I agree with most of what you said. It's about people, it's about technology and nature and marrying those concepts. I've got a bit of a challenge because I've got a 20-minute speech, but I have a 10:30 panel discussion in the smart manufacturing room. But I'll try and keep it brief. I've only got a few slides. I normally don't like slides, but the organisers insisted that I present slides, so I will use some. I need the actual device. Who's got the device? Yeah. So my name is Denis Brunetti, and I'm the president of Ericsson in Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia and Laos. I've been working in and out of the Vietnam market for some 22 years, since my first involvement in 1996, and basically working in the telecom industry with Ericsson since 1991. I'm also the co-chairman of the European Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. And just a brief word on that. So the agenda or the purpose, the aim of the European Chamber of Commerce, we have 1,000 members. We celebrate 20 years this year, and the purpose clearly is to facilitate Vietnam, European Union business trade. And certainly the free trade agreement is the priority, and certainly we look forward to having that ratified in March, April 2019. That's our focus. With Ericsson, our primary focus, our primary aim, our goal, our ambition is to connect all of Vietnam. Not just people, but machines. People, technology, nature, marrying those entities and making sure that we create smart city environment in Vietnam. And smart city is a term used quite often in Vietnam, of course, but what it basically essentially boils down to is using technology, connectivity, data, computing power, marrying those things and ensuring that we solve problems in cities, whether it's manufacturing efficiency, transport congestion, healthcare, education, tourism, helping industries digitally transform the way they operate so that they become more cost efficient, more cost effective in terms of the consumer, in terms of the price they pay, and of course more accessible to more people. So it's about extending that reach. And that's basically the essence of my speech today, and I'll quickly just change over to the next slide. Yeah. So, what's the key challenge? In my presentation today, I'm focusing on intelligent transport or smart transport, because clearly, globally, the challenge is that 70% of the world's population live in cities, big cities, and that's growing at a rapid rate. 2 billion vehicles will be on the roads by 2035. And I think that's a conservative number. And of course, transportation is the fastest growing source of carbon dioxide emissions across the world. In Vietnam specifically, the urbanisation growth is extremely high, about double that of Thailand and Malaysia, Singapore and other neighbouring countries in ASEAN, at nearly 3%. And public transport only meets about 10% of the total transportation needs of Vietnamese people in Vietnam. Economic growth, of course, has been astronomical. It's been phenomenal, in fact, and I would have to say that Ericsson has played a key role in that, because we celebrate 25 years anniversary in Vietnam this year. And since 1993, when we launched the first mobile networks with VNPT and Vodafone and Viettel in 2004, and I think in 2008 with Vietnam Mobile, we've seen a 6.15% average GDP growth rate. And I don't think it's any coincidence, because I think the mobile connections that have been created and the communication that's been enabled across all of Vietnam has enabled that 6.15%. And certainly the internet has been the engine of growth for Vietnam, and the internet celebrated 20 years anniversary last year. I think that's important to note. And in Vietnam today, for our Korean friend, I'll give you another statistic. In Vietnam today, we have 55 million internet users. That ranks 17th in the world by nation. And Facebook, 10th biggest Facebook account users in the world, Vietnam. So Vietnam is quite an interesting market in many different ways. It adopts technology quickly, rapidly, and there's a lot of innovation, and I agree, very strong focus on education, especially in mathematics. Vietnamese people rank extremely high in mathematics, and that's an important skill as we move towards smart cities, as data science becomes an increasingly important skill to have as we move towards the fourth industrial revolution. So certainly, cities in Vietnam discharge about 70% of the carbon dioxide emissions, 13% of which are attributed to vehicles, but that's increasing in number as well. And the government, we should commend the government, I think they're doing a great job in trying to create plans and invest in Industry 4.0 and other smart city IoT initiatives to help reduce carbon dioxide emissions. But the key challenge is, how do we decouple, how do we disconnect socio-economic development from carbon dioxide emissions? Because as you get more people driving cars, as you get more people having access to different services, as you get increased population in big cities, carbon dioxide emissions will naturally grow. So the key fundamental challenge is to decouple that correlation. In other words, as we get socio-economic development and growth, we should be reducing carbon dioxide emissions. But how do we do that? It almost sounds counterintuitive, almost impossible, but it isn't, because the answer is ICT. ICT helps decouple carbon dioxide emission growth from socio-economic development growth. It's the only answer. And that's why Ericsson plays such an important role in helping the government of Vietnam, as well as, of course, the peoples of the world, in decoupling those two factors. So clearly, it's about connectivity. And that was also mentioned by the previous speaker, and I fully agree. It's about connectivity, it's about data, and it's about computation power. And those three things combined, together with infrastructure, vehicles and users, they need to be connected. So whether it's infrastructure, like roadside equipment, traffic lights, parking meters, road sensors, traffic booths, and also surveillance cameras, those type of objects, together with the vehicles, buses, cars, motorbikes, planes, and of course the people. And I agree 100%, it's about the citizens, it's about the people, and the people need to be connected to these other factors. And that's how we create a smart society or a smart city when it comes to transport. But more importantly, we need to go further than that. Connectivity only gets you so far. You can connect all these cities that I just mentioned. And that's what a lot of cities do. They think that once they've connected everything, that's enough, job done. But it's not enough. You need to also ensure that there's cooperation between those entities. So that means you need to have management systems, control systems, a technology, a traffic management centre, for example, that ensures that data is shared between all those entities in an efficient way, in a timely way, in a real-time way, so that ultimately we can achieve the end goal, and that's automation. Ensuring that processes are automated so that all decision-making within the traffic system, from a holistic perspective, users, roads and traffic equipment, as well as the vehicles, are all interconnected, sharing data and making use of that data in a real-time sense, so that when there's a change in the transport environment, decisions can be taken automatically. That's key. For example, you're driving on the road, the tyre pressure changes when there's an oil film on the road. Oil film, maybe that's come to the surface because of rain. That change in tyre pressure gets sent back to the traffic management system, and that, through the cloud, is distributed to different users in that vicinity so that they know they need to slow down. They need to take care because the road condition ahead is slippery, for example. That's just one example. So one of the case references, the only one I'll share today because of time, is in Holland. So the Dutch Ministry of Infrastructure had a partnership that was forged in 2017. It's a 3-year collaboration with Ericsson, Siemens and Simmerkamp. And basically the three challenges they want to address is traffic congestion, carbon dioxide emission reductions, and of course road safety, transport traffic safety. And one way they've done that, of course, is by creating a cloud and connecting all the things that we talked about earlier. But their program, they named it very intelligently, I think very cleverly, Talking Traffic. That's the name of the program. Ensuring that everything is talking to one another, whether it's the vehicles, the roadside equipment that we talked about earlier, as well as the people. And what they actually had as their key fundamental strategy, the cornerstone, the key factor behind their whole planning was ICT first, then infrastructure. And that's quite interesting, given the fact that they're the Ministry of Infrastructure, not the Ministry of Telecommunications, not the Ministry of Science and Technology. They are the Ministry of Infrastructure, but they also recognised it's far easier, far quicker, far more efficient, far more cost effective to increase the number of lanes in a data connection by moving from 3G to 4G to 5G, because that's what essentially you're doing. You're increasing the bandwidth for data to be transported, instead of increasing the number of lanes on the road. Building more bridges, building more tunnels, building more laneways is very, and in some cases not only costly but impossible because of limited space. And cities, as they become more populated, of course, have that challenge of utilising space efficiently. But through ICT, through 4G, and certainly 5G coming in Vietnam within the next 3 years, we will be able to increase the bandwidth of the mobile network so that we can take traffic from the physical world and put it onto the internet, mobile broadband world, the superhighway, the internet highway. So that's a fundamental aspect of this program, and certainly what they've done in Holland, they connected 25% of the traffic lights. They had about 3 or 4 different initiatives, one being that buses and trains and cyclists, key priority groups are highlighted in the traffic management system, so that when the traffic light sees those vehicles through the data connection coming within 100 metres or a few hundred metres, it goes green. So it goes green to allow those priority groups to come through. Another factor was people able to see where there's free parking available, so they can go straight to the free parking and not have to circle around the city to find the free parking. Things like that, along with what I mentioned earlier in terms of looking at traffic congestion up ahead, seeing where there's potential roadblocks, and then being able to influence the driver of the vehicle to change his or her behaviour to basically digress or avoid that particular congestion. Because what they found in Holland was that if you remove 1% of the traffic from key hotspot traffic congestion areas in the city, you reduce traffic congestion by up to 10% by just removing 1% of the traffic from that particular hotspot. So that's important to also understand. I think the Dutch ministry did a fantastic job of embracing technology, embracing ICT, embracing 4G in order to be able to realise this vision and this ambition. So my final slide, clearly the punchline here is that 4G and 5G Internet of Things are the enabling platform for innovation. They are the enabling platform for smart cities, not only in Vietnam but around the world. And clearly those networks need to be smart, they need to be scalable, simple, superior performing, because you need very low latency, very high bandwidth, high speed, low power consumption. It needs to be extremely scalable, but most importantly, secure. Security, because smart cities are secure cities. Smart cities are safe cities. Smart cities are livable cities. And the only way to do that is to ensure security end-to-end from a holistic perspective. At Ericsson, 142 years old company, 120,000 people, 42,000 patents. We are the market leader in mobile broadband globally, and in Vietnam we account for about 50% of the 4G networks today across all the mobile operators. We're a Swedish company with high values, and we focus on security, and we build security into our technology. So thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to having further discussions perhaps during the break. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denis, for your presentation.